All right, let's get it started. We have 40 minutes, and this is going to be a practical approach of a session. So I think we should just dive in. My name is Olga Sholderer. I work as a senior consultant at Deloitte here in the Netherlands. I'm originally from Russia, actually. I've been living here in the Netherlands for the past 7 years. I have a great passion for data, for analytics, and I personally like surfing. If you want to know a bit more about me, please feel free to connect with me. I'm going to put some links and my tags on social media at the end of this presentation. We will be speaking today about automating reports. Whatever job you have, you probably had to create some sort of reporting at least once in your life. And you know that very often you have to create reports that repeat every month, and sometimes every month they also have different versions for different maybe segments of your clients or so. So I'm going to be showing you how R and in particular R Markdown will be able to help you to solve the issue of having to do a lot of manual work yourself. So we will be speaking today about some basics of R. I'm going to be showing you a few functions that we will be needing for the reports. And then I'm going to dive in with you into R Markdown, what it is, how exactly it helps you with reporting, and we're going to do a small demo. Okay? Okay, to start with, I'm going to be using RStudio Cloud for this session. I have put a long link over here, but throughout the whole session at the bottom of the slides, you can see a shortened link, and it's going to basically take you to RStudio Cloud. RStudio Cloud is a learning environment. It is designed exactly for learning R. I'm going to be showing you how it works very briefly, but what you need to do, you need to follow the link. Basically, you can just type in this combination of letters, and you need to log in. You can log in with Google or GitHub accounts, or with your own email account. You can create an account with your email. Afterwards, when you're in, you need to join the space. Click on projects and select Women in Tech. There will be only one project available to you in this space. And if you want to keep it for yourself, so if you don't want to just practice, but perhaps keep the materials and all of the exercises for the future, you can also make a permanent copy of the project. The button will be at the top right corner. I can copy the link. Yes, just a second. Okay. Well, I will just copy the link for everyone. Here you go. And let's continue. All right. So we won't really have enough time for parallel work and practicing, unfortunately, because we have only 40 minutes and we need to cover a lot. But that's definitely a good source for you because I have installed all of the packages that are necessary. So it's basically a ready-made environment for you to work in. Over there in the RStudio Cloud, I have also placed some additional materials. So something for learning, some additional PDFs, as well as some exercises that I have developed for you guys. So if you want to practice whatever we have discussed today, I have developed some materials for you, and they're available on RStudio Cloud. You can get to there using the link that will be placed throughout the whole presentation at the bottom of the slides, and I have just placed it in the chat. Also, I have placed all of the materials, including the slides, on my GitHub. The link is over here, and at the end of the presentation, I'm going to be showing this again. All right, this is for housekeeping. So let's get started with the basics of R. For R, we will be needing today just 4 functions, actually, or we will be speaking in more detail about those 4. The first one is select. Yes, select. Let's imagine you are working with, let's say, a data set that contains the list of students for your physical education class. And you have first names, last name of students, their gender, and, for example, the number of push-ups that they're able to do. And then, but you know that sometimes, data sets can be so big with so many different columns. but you don't necessarily need all of them to answer your question that you have about this data set. So you can use the function select. It basically allows you to keep only the variables that you need. The second function that we need is filter. And this one works not column-wise, but row-wise. So basically, it takes all of your physical education class, and you, for example, can say, show me only the rows where first name is equal to Mary, or show me only the rows where gender is equal to male, for example. So in this way, you can create sort of a subset in terms of rows, where the rows are meeting some kind of a condition. And finally, these two functions, they are actually working together. So very often with our reports, we actually need to provide some sort of an aggregate information, right? The data sets can be so big, and people who are reading reports, they don't want to, have everything. So they want to, for example, have average number of something. So in our case with the physical education class, we, for example, can group by the whole data set by gender. And this way, we're going to use this function group by, and then in the parentheses, we're going to pass the name of the variable that we're using for grouping, gender. And then right after, we're going to use the function summarize. And summarize allows you to indicate the name of the new aggregated variable. And then it allows you to indicate what function do you want to pass on the group that you have indicated over here. So in our example, we would say group by gender and then summarize, let's say, the mean of the number of push-ups. So this is how it works in theory. In one moment, I'm going to be showing you this in the actual RStudio cloud environment, so you can see how it works in action. So I think it's going to be even easier to understand. Before we do that, I wanted to tell you a bit about additional resources about R. And first one is the cheat sheets. So RStudio itself is actually IDE, so basically a software that makes really nice interface, and it helps you code in R a bit easier. So they're really good guys and girls, and they have developed a number of cheat sheets with additional information on many topics. So if you are diving in and learning about a new topic for yourself, it's awesome to have a cheat sheet on that topic, and because it contains basically all of the basic things about how things work on that topic, and also some basic functions that you need, or maybe not necessarily basic, but most common ones. Stack Overflow, if you code in any other language than R, you are definitely familiar with that. If you have any question, or maybe there's some kind of an error that appears in R, just copy this error and Google. I'm sure there will be some question on Stack Overflow. And the third resource that I wanted to share on RStudio Cloud, this learning platform, they also have some primers. So since RStudio Cloud is a learning platform, they have developed really, really good materials. If you want to start learning R from scratch, there are perfect basics available on this link. Okay, now, as promised, I want to show you how to actually use those functions in action. Okay, I can see that it's now sharing my screen. Feel free to also to maximize this video. I try to increase the font, but I hope that you'll be able to see what I'm typing. Okay, so this is how RStudio software looks like. I'm going to help you to understand what it all means. So here's a console. So this is where we can code. So for example, we're going to do 2 + 2, and it's going to tell us 4. Basically, this is where you can live code. It is also possible to add new R script. You can see it just opens a new window over here. You can also save it. So basically, instead of typing every time, code over and over again, you can also type it once in a script, save it, and then every time that you need to run this code, you can just run it at once instead of typing in a console. Okay, so for example, I want to show you also how it works with objects, because, for example, if you have some kind of a value that you want R to remember, you can do that. For example, we can create an object which is called class, and we will assign it with this assign operator, which is like a smaller and then a small dash, so basically like a little row arrow. And we're going to say physical education. So let's say physical education class. And basically, we're going to assign now to an object which is called class a value, which is a PE. So to execute this, we can either click run over here, or we can just put the cursor on this line, and we can press on our keyboard Control Enter. Two things happened, okay? So first is you can see that the code became sort of like copied to console. So this is where the code actually executed. And second, over here, there is a little window for environment. So it now shows that there is an object which is called class, and it is equal to PE. This is what we assigned it to. All right. Now, this window, it shows the list of the files that you have in this project. So I have placed, you can see some additional resources for you, some exercises, actual R Markdown files, but also we have data. So I have created some fake data of some imaginary e-commerce website and this data concerns the clients of that website. So I'm going to show you how we can import this data. So you can just click, so it's not a normal left button click, and then import dataset. And it shows you a preview of this dataset. What is inside, you can see that there are a few variables and different dimensions of the clients. And over here, there is a preview. So it shows library, read R, and libraries are basically the extensions over R. So R is open source programming language, and libraries are written by kind people on the internet who are basically creating different packages for specific functions. So for example, if you're interested in machine learning in R, there are some packages that are designed specifically for this. So this specific package, which is called read R, it is developed for reading in different files. So over here, for example, you can see that there is a function which is called read_CSV, and afterwards there are parentheses, and inside of the parentheses, normally there are arguments. In our case, it is actually path or name, in this case, of the file that we want to read in. So this is why it is written there. We can also change the name of the object. We are free to do so. So for example, we can call it data. And then another function over here, which is called view, it basically allows us to have a quick look into the object once it's read into R. So once again, we just make sure it's called the same way, how we call it over here, and we hit import. All right. So you can see it opened indeed the data straight away. You can also open it by just clicking on the name of the object in the environment. It does the same, absolutely the same thing. And you can see there's first name, last name, email, gender, and so on and so forth. Okay, so we did the importing. This is already pretty cool. Now let's try and use the select, filter, group by, and summarize functions that I was talking about. To do so, you first need to indicate the name of the object. So in our case, we call it data. And then we use a special operator, which is called pipe. And the shortcut for it is Control-Shift-M, M for Mary. And basically what it is actually two percentage signs with a greater sign in between, but Control-Shift-M will allow you to type it faster. We can then indicate the first function, which is called select, and we can type the opening opening parenthesis, and it's gonna finish the closing parenthesis for us. Very helpful. And then inside, we would need to actually indicate the list of variables that we are interested in. So let's say we're interested in first names of clients, second names of clients, and countries, where they're coming from. So that would be a bit difficult to constantly look into the data set to see how to spell the variables, especially if the variables are actually not called so easily, but is a crazy combination of some letters and numbers. So there is a really helpful feature of the RStudio. You can just hit a key which is called tab, and it's going to offer you the list of all variables that are in this object before the pipe. So we were going to select first name, comma, then I hit tab again, last name, comma, tab, and then country. Easy. Now, once again, I just put the cursor on the first row. You can also put it on the second one, because everything is treated together because of the pipe. And I hit Control Enter to execute that bit. So let me show you what shows up. Indeed, there are 1,000 observations and only 3 columns. Yeah, exactly. You're right. In SQL queries, there are very indeed there's select, filter. I think summarize is different, but there are definitely similarities with SQL. But indeed, so we have first name, last name, and a country. Nice. Now, if you want to continue, again, we put a pipe and we write filter. Okay. And then over here, we will say, for example, we want to find customers that are, let's say, from France. So we write country is equal to, and please note that there are two equal signs. This is how you basically test the equality. So if you write only one equal sign, it's basically like this. It's the assignment. So if you want, we can also assign this object a value of, I don't know, like English class, let's say, right? So if I execute this, and let's have a look in the values, indeed, it does the assignment. So one equal sign is basically equivalent for assignment. But if you use 2, it is for testing whether country is indeed equal to France. It can be a little bit tricky in the beginning to remember this. I have also put some materials in the additional resources folder. You can remember, and I think R also tells you, oh, did you mean actually 2 equal signs in case you actually write 1. Okay, then we execute it, Control Enter, and now it only shows 33 customers from France. Nice. Now let's continue. And for example, we would actually, I will remove the filter for France, and now we are going to group by all of the clients by country, and we're going to see how many clients there are in each of the countries, okay, for this e-commerce website. So to do this, we're going to write group by, and then in the parentheses, we're going to indicate the grouping variable, which is a country in our case. Then Control M for pipe. And then we're going to use the summarize function. Okay. So, as I said, we will first need to indicate the new name of the variable that is going to contain the aggregated numbers, because of course we don't have the variable which is called this way. So, for example, we could call it accounts of clients like this. So the naming convention of R, there shouldn't be spaces. And I think it cannot start with the number, but in terms of like lowercase or not, it's not really picky. So this would qualify as a good name for a variable. In case you actually want to have spaces, there's a trick. You can type backtick over here, and then it will allow you to write spaces. It's helpful actually for reports because you can make pretty looking columns pretty easily. So let's just keep it this way. As you can see here, I'm actually using 1 equal sign because it's actually an assignment. So you want to call this variable, and then in our case, we're going to use count. So this is a function that produces a count of rows, or and if you want to find some other functions, you can Google them. It's pretty easy to find, or I think it's also in the additional resources I have placed. There are some PDFs on the topic. So some of the other variations could be mean or maximum, minimum, standard deviation. There can be different functions that you want to apply over here. Okay, so let's run all of this and see what it shows. Voila. So it shows one variable country, another one count of clients. And then you can actually see how many clients there are. The way how it shows in console, it actually shows the ticks. But you can also you can actually see why it looks really nice with the spaces. I just add the view, and you can see over here there are not ticks. They're actually really nicely readable name of the variable with spaces. Okay, so that was our brief intro into R. Let's go back to our presentation. And I'm going to show you R Markdown, which is actually specifically on the reports. So R Markdown files, they allow you doing amazing things because they combine both normal readable, human readable text, but also code that you can hide basically within R Markdown. You can produce different types of documents, some HTML files, PDF documents, and this is what we'll be focusing on today. Word documents, presentations, dashboards. You can even publish blogs with R Markdown. You can create books or resumes. It's really, really powerful tool. I have also, here's a link in the slides, but I have also placed the actual copy of this PDF on RStudio Cloud and also on my GitHub. This is how it is structured. This is how a sample R Markdown file looks. At the top, you can see a YAML header. It basically contains some, sort of like a backend information for what you expect in this document to look like after all the calculations. Because as I said, the actual output can be so many things. It can be a dashboard. It can be, websites. So it can be a lot of different things. So here you need to indicate the type of the output. The title, author, and date are not necessary, so it's not a mandatory field. Here you can also indicate some text. So in our case, I'm going to be showing you a template that contains some fake report that I have put together. And you can also, by the way, format. So this 2 hashtags is actually a header. So the R Markdown is actually using Markdown as a type of a language. You can also put different kind of bold and italic features for your words over here. So it's all possible, like bullet lists, everything is possible. You can find it online on how to format text in Markdown. So, and the coolest thing about R Markdown is these code chunks. So, for example, the result of this will be a table. So when you produce a PDF, it's going to look like there's just text which says R Markdown and then, whatever is written here. And then there will be a table. So, and whatever you change over here, it's going to be just formatted into this really nicely looking table. So you can use it within your report. It also applies to charts. I'm going to be showing you also charts, how you can use them in your reports. So, and then step further will be to add a parameter. So in this case, for example, imagine that we're doing a report that has different versions for different segments. So let's say there's going to be a report for Eastern region of the company, Northern, and so on. So you can say that over here, we have a parameter which is called region, and by default, this is equal to East. And then you can use this basically as any variable. You can use it for filtering as well, by just saying params $ a region. So this is actually a screenshot of the document that I'm going to be working through with you today. I have created some monthly report template for you, which has a parameter which is called country, and by default it is equal to Japan, but you can actually select any country that you like from your data. And then, as I said, this params $, and then the name of the parameter, in our case it's country, can be used throughout the whole document. So in our case here, for the title, I actually want to say monthly report for name of country. So in our case, by default, is going to be Japan. And you can use it as an inline code like this with the backticks, and then saying that you're actually coding in R, and then the name of the variable. Or you can also use them in chunks as filters. Look, this is what we did just now, right? We took data, we selected 3 variables, and then we filtered, and where we said country is equal. And before we did France, but in this case, you're actually going to have params $ country. And then when you actually want to, let's say, switch from Japan and move to, I don't know, Mexico, you're just going to change it once here, and throughout the whole document, you're going to get details specifically only for that country. So this is, yeah, it saves so much time, and you can easily code this once and then reuse this reporting throughout. So yeah, we will be looking specifically at this document together in our Studio Cloud. So if this looks confusing now, just hold off a little bit. Yeah, so since some of companies are actually using R Markdown, good to know that it is possible to customize the look of the reports. You can customize the colors. You can add also corporate logos to there. We don't really have time to explore this right now, but you can use the links from the slides that yeah, are available on GitHub already now. Okay, let's go into demo. Okay. All right, let me just close this one. Okay, so here in the project, I have created actually 2 templates, but yeah, I think we're going to have a time only to look at the example with the country. So let me just open this for you. All right, so yeah, here you can see that indeed it starts as output in terms of PDF, but as I said, you can also turn it to a Word document, for example. And then the parameter is equal to country, which is by default Japan. Then in the first chunk, I have sourced some kind of a file. So let's just see what is inside. Let me just make it bigger for you. Yes, and inside, again, I'm using those 4 functions that I have showed you earlier: select, filter, group by, and summarize. And I have selected some variables that I want to see in the table in that report. With regards to the clients, I have filtered for country equal to parameters, group by gender, and then summarize. I wanted to see, for example, here, sum of all purchases by client, and sum of number of discounts offered per client. And why I did that is just to make the R Markdown neater, so that all of the data wrangling is done separately in a different document. And yeah, here you just source it, and you already have all of the objects that you have created in this R script. All right. Here, once again, inline code. So I wanted to see monthly report for name of the country. So this is how you can create it. I have added some sample text over here. And here's the first chunk. So here I have just edited for you right here so that it is also visible. So first one is select. So I've selected the variables that I want to see. Filter, country is equal to params $country. And then this is a nice package. I have installed it for you on our Studio Cloud. It makes all the tables look pretty. All right, this is just a preview of how it's going to look like. Really nice. Now, this is a header for purchases by gender, some simple Latin text, and then this is a code chunk for a chart. So we don't really have time to dig deeper into charts, But basically, this is how you create it. I took the object name that I have created in this additional file, and I did all the data wrangling over there. So over here, I just take this name of the object, and then I use ggplot function, one of them for that you can use for creating plots. I indicated X and Y axes. Then I said that it needs to be a bar chart. I indicated the color, and this is also for something to make it a little bit prettier. And then below, again, text and another code chunk for some other chart. All right, so let's try and run it. To do that, we need to click on the button which is called knit. So I'm going just that, to do just that. And in a moment, you can see the file. Yes, you can see it right now. Yeah, so yeah, over here, it uses the name of the parameter, some text. It produces also the, the table. And below is the chart that we want, and another chart. And then everything contains only the data for Japan, because we have indicated that this is the name of the parameter. This is what we want to see. Now let's try. What if you don't want Japan? What if you want, I don't know, Russia, for example? To do that, you just click on the small arrow next to knit, and you click knit with parameters. So a little window appears, and then over there you can indicate the name of the country. So let's say Russia, and then we click knit. And voila, now this is a report that contains only data for Russian customers. So very fast, does not involve that much coding actually, and look, it is a totally reproducible report that can be done super quickly, and very much customized. It is also possible to run several reports at once. So for example, you don't just want to click every time like, oh yeah, I want now a report for Russia, and now for Japan, and now for Germany, and so. I have written a little script for you, which is called render multiple reports at a time. And basically over here, you can indicate the names of the countries that you want to see, and then just basically run it through the loop, and it's going to produce a bunch of files at once for you, which is much faster. The RStudio Cloud doesn't have enough internal memory really to run this script, but if you use R on your own computer, this code will work. All right, this is basically it. I have also included another template for you for purchases. So for example, over here, the parameter is not a word, but not a string, but a number. So it's going to show the report for all of the clients that have made purchases over, let's say, $300,000, or you can put it to $1,000 if you want. So it is possible to have parameters of different types, strings, numbers. So you can explore this. This is it. All right, so that was my presentation. Please connect with me on LinkedIn, Twitter. I have also placed all of these materials on GitHub. So feel free to reach out, and I am looking forward to your questions. Okay, so advantage in using R comparing to Python, Jupyter, and to SQL. Well, I can only tell you that R Markdown is very, very much intuitive tool, as you could see. So you don't really need to code a lot really to have these parameters built in. So I think that's comparing to Python and SQL. But I mean, in general, I think it just depends on where you're starting from beginning. If you have been maybe you know only a bit of R, then this is a great extension perhaps to the knowledge that is given at the university level, because this is something that you can definitely save a lot of time for your company. Yeah, but I mean, for sure, there are also possibilities of doing this similar thing in other languages. But this is a cool way of how you can do it in R, and it is pretty easy. There are a lot of built-in features in RStudio, so this is a pretty good advantage, I think. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's possible. That I also saw that you guys and girls had difficulties accessing it. Sorry, yeah, maybe there is a limit on how many people can actually have access to RStudio. Yeah, it is possible to see these files. They're all on GitHub. So I have put everything that is available in RStudio Cloud on GitHub. Yeah, RStudio Cloud was because it's basically our environment, and I have included all of the packages already installed, so you don't have to worry about installing packages and loading all of the libraries and stuff. Yeah, so that was the only reason. So if you want to get access to materials, they're all on GitHub. So please feel free to use. All right. Okay, I don't know if there are any other questions. Nice, sending me a LinkedIn request. Thank you. I will respond. Okay, I don't know if there are any other questions. Yeah, so there's a discussion about SQL similarities. Yeah, because there are ways of doing data wrangling in Python and SQL and R, and they're all suitable. So yeah, I think it's really up to your liking. And R has some really cool features, which I think are more of an extension of what is easy, can be not so easily done in some other languages. So R Markdown documents is one of them. It's a very versatile tool. On my GitHub account, actually, I have some materials from a workshop that I gave last year about building dashboards in R Markdown. It's just insanely easy of how you can build a dashboard. So feel free. There are some slides, some exercises as well. Yeah, so please check it out. And R Markdown is a pretty cool tool to learn how to use. All right, well, I don't see any other questions. Yeah, awesome. So people found resources on GitHub. So that's good. Thank you so much for connecting. Yeah, and for your time for the session. This is it for me. Thank you.